Mr. Chair, you have quorum present.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Atlanta City Council member Byron Amos, Chair of the Atlanta City Council Transportation Committee. I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Wednesday, November 20th, 11:30. Have to my far left, my introduction of my members is Councilmember Walkoff. Make sure this ain't changed. Councilmember Wan, Councilmember Dozier, Councilmember Hillis, and of course to my right is Councilmember Lewis. Make a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The agenda has been adopted.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes have been approved.
Thank you. Then next move us to our public comment. As we prepare for that, remind everyone you have 3 minutes. Ask everyone to stay respectable and keep your comments geared toward the committee. Hold on, ma'am. Let us call you up. No problem. I like your tenacity, though, because we're rolling. Would you be Ashani Omar? There we go. Let's go.
Hello, good morning. My name is Ashani Omar. I work for the Atlanta Neighborhood Development Partnership, and I was just wanting to speak on behalf of agenda item number 35, 25-015-29, in regards to a request for abandonment of a parcel. We are, ANDP is a nonprofit organization. We've been around for about 35 years, and we are proposing proposed development of 54 affordable for sale homes, including 50 townhome units, as well as 4 single-family detached homes that will be located on St. John's. And so this is just speaking on behalf of our support and interest in making sure that we're able to seek approval today. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next is Van Dyke Howard. Mr. Howard. Okay. Jennifer Brooks.
Good morning, Transportation Committee. Thank you for allowing me this moment, and thank you all for your service. I just want to speak briefly to 3 resolutions. The first is 25R-4130. Yes, let's index the hotel motel tax to inflation and commit more of it to regional transit. And to that, I would just ask, is there a way that we could add to that funding by adding in some of the curbside parking revenues towards regional transit? My next item is 25R-4131, and that's Councilmember Wyckoff's legislation for reduced parking fees for disabled person placards users, and that's long overdue, so let's do that. And then I'm just wondering if we can add on to that any possibility to create curbside access for blue placard users along the curb of City Hall. There's a conspicuous absence of ADA curb consideration, but we do seem to accommodate a food truck. And I have been told that ADA parking in the deck is sufficient and that curb parking spots aren't suitable because of the slope, yet it's fine for the truck. So I just wonder, could we revisit this in earnest? I would like to see curb access for at least the MARTA mobility vehicle to pull up curbside at City Hall. And I would also like some blue spots. My last item is 25R-4132, and I say yes, please look at the fees related to lane and sidewalk closures. And while we're on that topic, can someone examine the notification process to the neighboring properties when there is a closure? And perhaps when the closure is in effect, have a way to post that permit. Again, thank you all for your good service.
Thank you. Mr. Van Dyke, I see you walked in, sir. You're up next.
Greetings to all of you, councilmen, councilwomen. First, I give honor and praise to Almighty God. I'm here. Well, my name is Van Dyke Howard. I'm a newly elected General Secretary of the Atlanta Taxi Drivers Association. I'm here with the new elected president, but he's not here because he has to find parking. The parking is kind of filled up from a lot of the other guys trying to get here. But I'm here standing in for them, of the Atlanta taxi drivers. We're here because there is a rumor going around with the taxi drivers spreading fabrications in regarding to a certain company called Laz or Lays. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, but that's the company. The taxi drivers, because of the rumor that is spread, fear for their jobs, thinking that they don't know what this company is all about. We don't know if it's, they feel that it may be a problem with the Taxi Drivers Association, the taxi drivers business, simply because of things that are done undercover back last year sometime with another taxi company. I'm here because we're trying to figure out what really is going on with this particular business, particular company, that the drivers are kind of like in fear of their business. So I'm here with them. Some of them haven't come, like I said, and we just don't want any problems as we had last year with the taxi company that tried to, I would just say, come in and ruin the business for us. So I just wanted to want everyone to realize that we are here trying to stop any jeopardy, any other company, no matter what name it is, that's trying to destroy the taxi business. So we're just trying to get clarification on this new company that's coming in, whether it's on the curbside, there at the airport, domestic, international side. Thank you for your time. I do apologize for the lateness of the other drivers that's not here. As I stated before, of the parking. But thank you for your time, and I hope that that we all, the councilmen, that we can come to some type of resolution and resolving if any other, how to say, fabrications or lies that is brought up to the taxi drivers in regarding of their, I would say, losing their business. So I do want to thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Your team did walk in behind you, so you are not alone.
That's the president.
Okay. Miss Liza Ramsey.
Hello again. Good morning, council members. My name is Lisa Ramsey with Atlanta Rideshare Drivers Union. We represent rideshare drivers and black platform drivers across the city. We work under companies like Uber and Lyft that exploit drivers by hiding behind the labor independent contractors. As independent contractors, we can't form a union to protect ourselves. We don't have a supervisor or office to turn to, so we come here month after month asking for your help. These companies use secret algorithms to squeeze every dollar from riders while paying drivers as little as possible. We are under constant surveillance, our every move tracked, rated, and used against us. Imagine being fired by an app for something as small as a document glitch, a false complaint, or a traffic ticket. And when we try to organize or talk about better conditions, that same surveillance can be used to identify leaders or retaliate quietly. It's a reminder that data collection isn't neutral, it's a form of control. What we need is transparency, to see the data that's collected on us, to have a fair appeals process, and to stop the use of surveillance as a tool for punishment or intimidation. Drivers should be able to use technology for safety and fairness, not to be monitored like machines. That's why we're asking you to create a TNC task force, Transportation Network Company Task Force, so drivers finally have a seat at the table and a voice in discussions that affect our livelihoods. We're not asking for special treatment, just fairness, transparency, and respect for the people who keep Atlanta moving. Thank you for your time, and please email me to set up a meeting.
Thank you. Thyron Spears.
Good afternoon, City Council and everyone on the chamber and all guests. I am also one of the Atlanta drivers for Lyft. I also want to come and talk to you guys about two main issues that the drivers are complaining about and we have with Lyft and Uber. First of all, is transparency. She mentioned it in her last statement, but to bring that to forefront, we do not have transparency from these apps letting us know things that are going on in the organizations and so to let us know how things are going and what we need to do to correct them. They use these AI robotics systems to deliver information to us, and that's the only way of communication that we have with these guys. Transparency is very important in this business, and we need that situation corrected. For example, drivers are also deactivated at enormous rates because of complaints or something that they've heard in the system, and these guys have no way or means of actually getting into the system or talking to someone personally. We all love AI, guys, we do, but at the same time, we gotta have some transparent systems that deliver information back to us, or someone we can call and talk to and say, hey, what's going on? What did the rider say? We need that communication to go back and forth and channel this information back to the drivers. Give us some forms of communication that we can act on. We have a lot of drivers that are not even given an opportunity to drive. They deactivate them because they had tools that showed them something on their driving record. They have no way of disputing this information. They send us to an AI channel that never gets back to you, just blue, you're gone. And those things are very frustrating for the drivers because they have no way of talking to anyone. They call all the time and they never have anything to do. I really superb anybody that's going back and forth to Uber or Lyft, set up a meeting for us so we can kind of set up a communication channel back and forth to these guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Isaac Tunka.
Good morning, council members. My name is Izzet Tunka. I am a professional Uber and Lyft driver and a member of Atlanta Rideshare Drivers Union. I would like to talk about the safety and regulation of Waymo drivers' cars in the city. A few weeks ago, one of the Waymo's cars in Atlanta failed to stop for a school bus that hit a stop sign, popped and lights out. And this was all on the news. So the car actually went around the bus while children were getting off. Luckily, no one get hurt. When a human driver sees a school bus, we stop. We understand what's happening. We react with judgment, not just sensors. A robot does not think that way. What's more concerning is that autonomous vehicles are not regulated in Georgia, in the city of Atlanta. There are no local safety rules, no permit system, and no limits on how many of these vehicles can operate. And most people don't realize this. When someone requests a ride on Uber or Lyft, they don't get an option to choose. The Uber can automatically assign an autonomous car to the rider, and without even then knowing that it's an autonomous car. And what that means, fewer trips for real working human drivers, people who depend on rides to feed their families. So I hope you will consider our concerns seriously and address them appropriately as it is. Human beings and citizens of the country, state, and the city that have voted other human beings like yourself. It's not Waymos or robots that have done that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is Propenda Kahun.
Good morning, council members. The name is Bhupendra Chauhan, and I am a rideshare driver and a professional black car service driver too, with both Uber and Lyft as well. As you've just heard, my colleague Izzet Tunka has highlighted some of the burning issues that are affecting all rideshare drivers in this city. Council members, I urge you all to address these issues without further delay by taking the following achievable steps. Limit the number of autonomous vehicles allowed in the city until a real safety review process is worked out. Mandate clear labeling and rider consent before somebody is matched to an autonomous vehicle. Establish local safety rules and accountability for these companies operating on our streets. On the issue of safeguarding livelihoods of the citizens of Atlanta, I urge City Council to adopt a measure and responsibly approach this to provide for a gradual phase-in of these autonomous vehicles rather than an abrupt, unregulated influx. Technology can help us, but it should never replace common sense, safety, and local jobs. I thank you.
Thank you. Next is, I think this is Matthew Veach.
Good morning, and thank you, council members, for a moment of your time this morning. My name is Matthew Veach. I'm the Senior Vice President of Business Development for MB Transportation. Here today to talk about Resolution 24R4122, the award of the curbside management services to Laz Parking. Just a bit about our company. We are the largest American-owned privately held transit company in the United States. And for this particular bid, we partnered with a great local company, A National Limousine. A National happens to be an expert in this type of service delivery, having started it from the beginning and ran it for many years. But I'm here to talk about the process itself. The RFP actually came out in February, had multiple iterations, had multiple amendments, 6 amendments, multiple extensions, 17 exhibits. It went on until July of this year. It was due on the 15th. We submitted on the 14th, and we received a notice saying you've successfully submitted your bid. This is the last communication we've gotten. Nothing else. It's almost Thanksgiving now, and the only thing that we've heard is that it's going to be awarded to Laz Parking. Typically, in a situation like this, you would have a process. You would have questions and clarifications. You would have an interview potentially. This is a $10 million a year project. You would have a best and final offer, and ultimately you would have an award. And in the award, you would see a summary of how you stacked up with everybody else, because ultimately the council wants to get the best value for what they're selecting. And all that would be fine. In this case, we got none of that. We had no questions whatsoever. And in fact, what we have heard, again, no communications, is that we were found non-responsive in our submission. Now, what I can tell you is I've been doing this for 15 years, and I can count on one finger how many times that's happened to any of the projects I've done, and I'm talking about hundreds of projects. So be very unusual. In addition to that, so maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't. We never got a question about it or were told that it did happen. Additionally, we've also heard, no formal communication, that 5 of the 6 proponents or proposers for this project were also found non-responsive and disqualified. So that's a red flag on the process. There's something happening here that makes it, I don't know, almost impossible to submit a compliant bid. So what we would ask is that you disregard the RFP award and reissue the RFP so we can all find out what exactly happened. And so ultimately the city, the Department of Aviation, and the passengers can get the best value for your award. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next will be Mr. Darrell Anderson.
Good morning, Chair. I'm going to defer my time to Kevin Ross.
That's a new one. Normally we don't. Well, we never had anyone to defer in transportation. Okay. Mr. Ross, you have 6 minutes. We have that one do it. Now that I think about it.
Good morning, members of the Transportation Committee. I'm Attorney Kevin Ross. I'm representing A National. And I wanted to speak to you this morning regarding some very specific concerns about Resolution 25R4122, and then some more generalized concerns that I think come into play. As Mr. Veach just mentioned, one of the things that's highly irregular here is that you have a proponent that's initially told that they've submitted a responsive bid, but then apparently thereafter are determined to be non-responsive with the absence of any written or other communication. That in and of itself is highly unusual. Obviously, a lot of time and effort is spent in putting these proposals together, and if in fact you've not submitted a responsive proposal, you should get notice of that. Because obviously as a proponent in the process, you have procedural rights to contest your disqualification. But you can't contest your disqualification if you're not given written notice of what the grounds are. The second thing that's highly irregular here is that out of 6 bidders or 6 proponents, that 5 would have been deemed to be non-responsive. I've been around the city a long time, seen a lot of city procurement, and what my common sense and experience tells me is that if you have 5 out of 6 proponents that are deemed non-responsive, the problem isn't with the proponents, the problem's with the procuring authority. Because if these companies that, again, spend time, energy, have expertise, are not checking some particular box, it's more likely that the procurement either has some defect or lack of clarity or something along those lines. The other thing to keep in context is that what we all want in public procurement is competition. And if you have a procurement that 5 of the 6 bidders are deemed to be non-responsive, competition as a de facto matter is not existing. It's destroyed. And even in this case, the background package indicated that there were 2 responsive bidders, but then when the independent procurement report was done, that determined that one of those bidders also was non-responsive and that there had been an upgrade. So even your legislation facially is inaccurate because there ultimately has been a determination of only 1 responsive bidder. Those circumstances alone, I think, would lead to a decision that this is a procurement that needs to be started over. It went to the floor of council, council sent it back. I think that was the right decision based on the present circumstances. The other thing I want to speak to, and this is the more generalized comments that I want to make, is that the city of Atlanta at the present time has a blackout policy with respect to procurement that I think is both nonsensical and unconstitutional. In the old days, which hopefully weren't that long ago, when a procuring department made a recommendation and that recommendation moved forward in the form of legislation to the committee of purview, that was the time that all interested parties could begin to lobby, advocate, communicate with their elected officials about any concerns they had about that procurement. And I submit that once it does enter the legislative form, it then falls under the First Amendment right to petition your government. What the city does now is says that the blackout period continues until the contract is finally executed by the mayor. That deprives both you as a city council, deprives the proponents in the process of real meaningful process and input in terms of procurement. You know, I've long thought the city of Atlanta's protest provisions need to be revisited because it's almost as if they're designed to make sure that any protest is unsuccessful. And I submit to you that that's not the purpose of a protest procedure. The purpose is to make sure that you get to exercise your oversight, or that the administrative law judge gets to exercise oversight that a procurement's done properly. If it's done properly, then the winner should win, but if it's not done properly, then there needs to be a different result. Some 30 years ago, I chaired the Charter Review Commission that you still operate under. And a lot of people say, well, what do we have in Atlanta? A strong mayor form of government? And my opinion always was that we have a strong mayor, strong council form of government. And I submit that the current interpretation of the blackout rules are depriving you of your vested authority to provide oversight to the procurement process. So while, you know, it has an effect in this particular matter, I think it's a broader issue that this council should look at because it's a relatively recent iteration. I think it was your last procurement director, and it just simply doesn't make sense, and I think it's unconstitutional. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next will be Mr. Clarence Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I'd like to yield my time to my colleague, Ms. Everson.
To who? Unfortunately, she did not sign up, so sir, these 3 minutes are yours. Sorry.
All right. Well, as So again, thank you for the opportunity. I want to speak a little bit about what you've already heard from other colleagues in the room. This is a very serious contract, and it does really involve the first impression of our city. When you talk about folks coming to our city wanting to have good customer service, we need to have those things in place. We've not had that so much for a very long time out here at the airport. But, you know, I think about the fairness of the contract. I, too, was a part of the initial bidding, and the communication from procurement has been horrible. It's just not been fluid to any of the people who have petitioned here this morning and the folks that are fighting and wanting to protest and have you guys look at rebidding this, because as we talk about major events coming to this city, we need to have the very brightest and the very best at our forefront as people visit this great city. We're not going to have that if we don't have folks who are not familiar with how this is run. And as we talked about, I won't criticize Laz. That's not my theory here. I'm here to talk about the process. The process was flawed. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. You've heard it from somebody a lot smarter than me, this attorney, who has shown you that this is not proper. And I know that many of you, I know personally, and I know this is not something that you are very familiar with, but this curbside has been bad for everybody. I represent the Georgia Motor Coach Operators Association, and many of my colleagues who come in and out of here with large motor coaches and performing these events are complaining about the process as it is now. And I echo some of the things these taxi guys go through. It has to be fixed if we're going to be the city that welcomes people in the city of brotherly love that we continue to talk about. We're supposed to be here a friendly face. We got all these nice billboards as you exit the airport talking about welcome to Atlanta. Well, it doesn't stop at the escalators. It starts again when you get to that curbside, and we've got to have the right folks managing that. And if you don't have a lot of customer service engagement and involvement, this is going to be poor for our city, and it's not going to look really well. And I just hope that you guys will go back and think about this, look at the big picture in this. It's that we've got to have the right folks in place, and the process has to be right. you can award if you want, but I'm sure you're going to have legal, some litigation shortly after this is awarded, because there's 5 out of 6 folks here that are pretty mad. And, you know, why put the city through this embarrassment? And certainly thank you for your time, and hope you think about this strongly.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to the end of our public comment session. Thank you for everyone for speaking up and letting your voice be heard. That takes us into presentations. Atlanta Department of Transportation.
Good morning, Transportation Committee. Solomon Cavanis, the Commissioner of the Atlanta Department of Transportation. Thank you for the opportunity to present once again on our quarterly report for Q3 2025. And congratulations to all from last Tuesday. So today we're going to talk about our general programming within strategy and planning, capital projects, our service requests for ATL DOT, our State of Good Repair program, community engagements, and acknowledgments. So again, as I mentioned, usually our vision is to deliver a standard of excellence and with consistent quality value of safety, equity, and mobility for the city of Atlanta. Our mission is to design, deliver, and maintain an efficient multimodal system that provides Atlanta residents, commuters, visitors, safe, equitable access within the city in alignment with the Atlanta Transportation Plan. Our core values focus on safety, customer service. We're stewards of public money, and we make sure that we're committed to our employees. So speaking to safety and Vision Zero within the city, we've seen a 20% decrease since year over year in our fatalities and along our surface streets. We've seen about a 40% reduction in fatalities since the peak in 2021. And year to date, we've seen 0 bike fatalities. Ongoing efforts and action plan implementations are included as part of our Fatal Crash Review Commission. We had our quarterly meeting back in September, and we anticipate the next meeting December 3rd with many of you. We have ongoing planning, design, implementation of micromobility corrals throughout the city and other strategies. And we have 6 Safe Route to Schools action plans completed with priority schools and 4 plans underway for this fiscal year. So Streets Alive is a highlight as part of our programming. We've had 5 events hosted monthly in 2025. Peachtree Street and Ralph David Abernathy and Georgia Avenue corridors were included. We saw over 60,000 attendees at these events, and they were quite lively. We had sponsorship this year, and it's one of our signature programs. We also are doing ongoing planning for our 2026 program for Atlanta Streets Alive, and we're looking at different corridors and activations throughout the city, and considering World Cup will be here next summer, opportunities to partner with our sponsors and others who will be here next summer, but also looking at 1 mile activations, which would be an addition to the program. Comprehensive Transportation Plan will be enabled by your approval of legislation to kick off this winter. It's about a 18 to 24 month effort that augments the Comprehensive Development Plan, and we look forward to awarding the contract ASAP to our consultant. Current activities, we are mandated to engage the community, and we've already started that process, and we're doing walks with neighborhood planning units and different community members, and also tabling at various events throughout the city. We're working on our naming and branding of the program, so stand by for that. Active projects throughout the city. So as you can see here, we've equitably distributed the work throughout the city. Some examples include Cascade Road, Complete Streets, Joseph E. Lowry, Complete Streets, which is wrapping up. We have Ralph David Abernathy work scheduled, MLK sidewalk installations. Those are some of our Southwest projects. There are a number of projects in what we consider a central area, traffic signal upgrades, Nelson Street resurfacing, 10th Street, and also in Southeast Atlanta or South Atlanta with partnership with MARTA, whereby we look forward to groundbreaking for the ART program along Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan, with sidewalk improvements and improvements along those corridors. Just to speak to some of our westerly programming, How Mill Complete Streets is underway. We're well into construction. Bankhead Highway Overhead Bridge demolition. We're working with the railroad to get that complete. On the, I guess, in downtown, if you've been in downtown recently, you've seen downtown is under construction. So plan your trip ahead of time. On the east side of the city, we have Juniper Street, Complete Streets, and Safe Streets work, which is wrapping up. We're in substantial completion, wrapping that program up, and a number of signal improvements as well. Just speaking to Northwest, Morris Mill, West Wesley is well underway. West Paces Ferry resurfacing was complete, and we're wrapping up safety improvements. Wyuka Road roundabout is under construction, and Lenox Road corridor has received a lot of press recently for sidewalk improvements and improvements along Lenox Road. I had the fortunate opportunity to participate in the ribbon cutting for the Path 400 program, whereby if you've not had a chance to see the Path 400 improvements and that trail, it is unbelievable. The coordination and what it took with the leadership of Councilmember Shook is something worth celebrating. So that was a great event back in September, and we're looking forward to seeing folks coming out on the trail. 10th Street in Monroe is a project that we're very proud of at the Beltline to connect the Northeast Trail to the East Side Trail. A number of Complete Streets projects. Howell Mill Complete Streets is well underway again, whereby we are addressing drainage and resurfacing that corridor. And again, Joseph E. Lowry Complete Streets, we're looking forward to wrapping that up. We've been paving, and we are excited about all the improvements on Lowry. So downtown infrastructure improvement projects, again, I'll mention that downtown is under construction. We've been coordinating with all of our partner utilities and stakeholders within the downtown region. We hope to wrap up all of our improvements in downtown by next spring. That includes lighting, wayfinding, resurfacing, and we've paired up this program with our Moving Atlanta Forward work, which was already on the docket. So ADA and sidewalk improvements are a major focus because if we take care of our most vulnerable, then we are doing the right thing. Current pavement projects, we've done a lot of resurfacing within the city. There is plenty of resurfacing happening. If you haven't noticed, I spoke to Joseph E. Lowry. Fairburn Road was recently repaved. Hank Aaron Drive is part of the MARTA BRT program. Perry Boulevard, West Marietta. Ted Turner, Irwin Street is coming, and Custard Avenue was recently done. So speaking to our capital program, just to mention, we have 4 program areas to include our original Renew program, the Moving Atlanta Forward program, our General Capital Improvement program, and the ARA downtown improvements. So this just gives you an idea of the projects and where they are per phase. And I've shared your council project lists as part of your package. Moving on to our SLAs, or service level agreements, you will notice there have been improvements in terms of the colors on the table. We have refocused our operations to address some of the deficiencies and make sure that we align with 311. I think that presentation's coming up in FEC. But we have realigned some of our resources and also considered how we can take advantage of our contracting resources to address many of the the feedback we've heard from the community via 311. Our pothole repairs were impacted in August and September, but we've caught up in October, and we expect through the end of this month to get those numbers up. Our goal is 30 potholes a day, and we're seeing more recently an average triple that, and we've made sure that our resources are focusing on potholes. Community engagement we see as a two-way street. This just gives you a list of all of the engagements that we've executed and are continuing to pursue related to projects and just general improvements around the city. These are a few photos of some of the activities. We had the Intelligent Transportation Society World Congress here, where we spoke about safety and first responder safety in partnership with our first responders and public safety. We've been out in the community discussing Vision Zero and improvements along corridors such as Joseph E. Boone and Greenbrier Parkway. And obviously, Cascade Road was reopened, so we're really excited about that. A few awards and announcements. We're very proud to have been a recipient of the Safe Kids Champions for Children Award at the Safe Kids Worldwide International Childhood Injury Prevention Convention. We also placed third in the city's annual Ethics Week competition, something we take great pride in, and we have a number of upcoming events, some of which are related to school safety, getting our kids the most valuable assets to and from schools with their parents. Also, we have Beecher Road Sidewalk Community Meeting coming up November 18th and Greenbrier Parkway Community Meeting, where we're going back out to the community to talk about Vision Zero improvements. And our cherished activity within ATL DOT, winter weather preparedness. I think we got a sample of winter weather whereby we brought crews on Monday morning to make sure we were on standby with salt trucks to address any issues we might have with the freezing temperatures. But many of our staff man the warming centers, and we've already done 3 preparedness exercises and look forward to working with all the other departments via tabletops and making sure the administration is poised to be prepared for this winter season. I think we're dealing with a La Nina year again. So with that, these are our social media handles, and I will entertain any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First speaker, Councilmember Hillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner. Just, you don't really need to comment. I'm not just calling it out. These paving projects are incorrect. The limits are wrong. So I don't
thank you.
know if whoever prepared this needs to go to the principal's office later, but.
Okay.
And then we've all seen the Moving Atlanta Forward audit. And I just want to call out that since the last quarter, the categories that, we see and the public want to see, which are construction and closeout, ATL DOT's added a net of 1 project since the last quarter being reported. And as I call this out at the last quarterly report, I will highlight that out of your closed work orders, the 2 that have the lowest in the red, which are 23.5% and 22.2%, are the only 2 that have the word emergency in their title. And that's concerning, along with some of the ones that, I don't necessarily believe are in the 80s, such as getting street name signs replaced, and some others. And then the last slide I'll call out, and then I have a list of questions, but the pothole data. I'm glad we're addressing potholes, even though that SLA appears to have dropped as well. But, the number that sticks out to me on here is the potholes repaired since inauguration 2022, over 43,000. At what point do we begin to realize that the problem is probably not potholes, but it's that we are not resurfacing streets at the rate that we should be? And a very large percentage of streets in the city are, marginal, poor, or very poor as far as their PCI. So what about that?
So we recently conducted an audit of our pavement conditions throughout the city and recognized we're about pavement condition index of 62 or so, and the average in U.S. city is about 65. What we've done over the past year is we've paved 96 miles of roads in the city. That's substantially more than we've seen in the past. So we've reassigned some of our dollars to focus on resurfacing. Speaking to your systemic issues, I will say that many of the pavement condition challenges have to do with water and other utilities. So as part of our more recent audit, we're analyzing the best approach for pavement management, for life cycle management of the system. And we want to work with you all as part of our LMIG program to think about where the greatest challenges are. I will call out that we do have some concrete streets that we need to address, and that's a capital challenge. But relative to your point about potholes, it's well taken and received, and that's why we've driven more of our investments towards resurfacing of these corridors and coordinating with our utilities.
Thank you. Just a few points to your comments. I imagine any of my colleagues up here, nor Mayor Dickens, want to be average. We want to be great as far as being compared to other U.S. cities. And then also, it took a while to get that last PCI data. I imagine it's probably a year old at this point. So at what point can we expect to see, an immediate, next couple year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year resurfacing plan delivered to us for review?
I can't give you a date on when that plan will be prepared, but the analysis is ongoing now. We've distributed those or that data to all council, and we've also gotten feedback from you in terms of your priority corridors for resurfacing. But I can assure that we'll work with you to identify our life cycle management plan and make sure that's approved by you.
Thank you. And another issue that you brought up that actually was the #1 question on my list, and that is something we have talked about extensively before, is concerns of my colleagues as well, and that is your line about a lot of the issues aren't necessarily quote-unquote potholes, but they are water and other utilities where either people have done unpermitted work or even permitted work, and we haven't enforced upon that. And at not this week's, but 2 weeks ago's Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee, the city solicitor came and did a report. And thankfully, because I wouldn't know if this wasn't the case, but he presented and did a breakdown of every department citations that they have prosecuted in a municipal court over the past quarter. And it was extremely disturbing to me that given these probably 2+ years of conversations, and you're coming up on your 2-year anniversary, that over the length of a quarter, given just the issues I know about in my district, even just one street, Carroll, or one project, Carroll and Marietta Road, where fiber was being installed, I reported over 10, 20+ times. And there was, quote unquote, some progress being made where you all sent kind of a black and white step of what I expected to be kind of a 3 strikes and you're out thing, and to come to find out these contractors are getting 10 strikes before they're out. And so back to the point of, in 1 quarter, your department sent a total of 4 citations for these issues to municipal court. What is going on?
Yeah, so since this requests for the department to focus on enforcement, we've realigned our staff and our SOPs to address the violations. I'll give one example. Bolton Road, we provided citations and penalties for the fiber contractor. We've actually brought in the fiber contractor to have a sit down to talk about planning and making sure that you and the community is a part of the planning and notification of what's happening. Relative to the timing of the enforcement in the solicitor's office, we more recently developed the SOPs, and we can coordinate the status of our quarterly improvements related to citations and enforcement as we move forward.
And on the back to the document that I was provided, are we still looking to provide these people 10 chances to tear up our streets? Or are we going to get more strict like we should? And, hey, you've had 3 chances now, and not only are you losing this permit, but you've lost your right to permit it within the city of Atlanta at least for a year until you can show us that you're going to be a better steward of public money and assets.
Yeah, we're not in favor of 10 strikes, but that's a conversation we should definitely have related to enforcement and what the expectations are.
And I hope, that some of the issues we've highlighted are those of utilities or private contractors, but the biggest offender is our own department here in the city. So how are those conversations going and being had with their process and restoration?
Yeah, so we've initiated a conversation with the new commissioner, Irely, with Watershed, and we're actually looking at internal tools in terms of how we coordinate, but also making sure that communication across departments is stronger. We have our deputy commissioners meeting more often to address and identify the pain points, but also better plan the work. So point well taken.
Moving on, does your department own a striping vehicle or contract with a striping contractor? Because it seems that there's a real lack of maintenance on the city's stripes and pavement markings, which is dangerous along multi-lane corridors at night.
We have both an internal striping machine, and we've just started contracting pavement markings.
It's been a while since we were provided one, but what is the current backlog of both speed table studies and implementation? Is there a plan to expedite these, and why is it still taking years to get these implemented, given most of these, I'm not talking about the ones that, are special requests from council members that are not supported by studies or crash data, but, the city has performed a study. It has in its hand a document that this is a public safety issue, and we do not address it in prompt time. It seems to be a liability on the city. So where are we at with expediting and prioritizing those installations?
We've actually reprioritized or appropriated dollars towards speed tables and safety. We've also outsourced some of our studies as it relates to the volume. We've changed our processes in terms of who and how those studies are submitted to make sure that we certify and validate the request. But you will start seeing an increase in the actual installations because we've gone to contract and reappropriated dollars towards safe streets.
Understood. Thank you. I'm gonna ask a district project specific question. Actually, this is actually in District 3, but I'll probably get just as many or more emails about it than Councilmember Amos does. The bridge repair that this council authorized, I believe a year ago or over a year ago now, on Marietta Boulevard at West Marietta Street. There was some lies told by the contractor. I went, got the receipts from Norfolk Southern. They were basically telling stories. They were not coordinating with Norfolk Southern, that they were not as far along as they should have been or were telling you that you were. That was probably 6 months ago, and we've still not seen any progress. What is the hold up there? I know you have to coordinate with Norfolk Southern, but I have talked to Norfolk Southern many times, and they are at the table and ready.
I'll go back and check, but if I'm not mistaken, the NTP has been assigned to the work, and the contractor should have started working, but I'll confirm.
Thank you. That's all I have for now. I'll just say that there's a lot of issues are progress being made. I have seen an increase in resurfacing, but, as we move along into especially the next fiscal year, the city cannot continue to rely on, the meager amount of state dollars or, bond programs only come around every 6 or 7 years, or T-SPLOST to do resurfacing of its streets. I do not see those as capital projects. That is maintenance of assets you already have. So I expect not only myself, but my other colleagues, we're going to want to see a lot more money put towards resurfacing in the coming year or two. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that comment.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councilmember Lewis.
And Commissioner, I want to say thank you for today. Thank you for this report. Thank you for the past year and a half of us working together. I was looking at District 2, looking at the complete project list and looking at the committed project list for the Moving Atlanta Forward District Horizontal Summary. And the reason why I was looking at District 2 is because I remember last year when Councilmember Faroki and I were in here and we were discussing some of these issues. And right now, District 12 is looking better than District 2. And I think what Councilmember Faroki said at the time period was about the CIDs, about how he could give the funding to the CIDs so they can get it done. But we knew in our district we didn't have any CIDs and none on the way yet. What we've done is been able to work with the department directly to get stuff done. We've been finding money, moving it around, and so thank you so much for that. My hopes is that we get the other stuff that people are getting in their district, right? And so we've been innovative, working with you every day. I have calls if you go through my call log, I talk to your department like I should. I'm not getting the other stuff that I want. Pedestrian scrambles. The pedestrian scramble on 10th and Monroe, 10th and Peachtree Street, you all did it. District 12 has a lot of walkers. A lot of people walking to and from the Krogers on Metropolitan, to and from our middle schools and our elementary schools. We need some innovation from the Department of Transportation. The folks in my community, they move around the city. They see the pedestrian scrambles all across the city. And so Metropolitan, what we're working on right now, should definitely have a pedestrian scramble. People are walking from the apartments to the grocery store, from the grocery store to the apartments. That's how it goes, right? When you look at my schools, so that's my first hope, is that we get some stuff that we don't work with you on, that you see in other parts of the city, because we want what they got. The second thing, still looking at this Moving Atlanta Forward Horizontal Summary, understanding that I've been able to increase, and increase is 3.1%. Right? And that's at District 2 is at 0.4%. So that increase is only 3.1. I keep going through. District 1 is at 1-something%. But I look at District 6, 21.5. And I look at District 8, and it's 49.1. And so I'm looking at this districts across the city that are below I-20. The only two that seem to increase was District 3, District 4. And I went in specific there. And that's Arthur Blank, World Cup. Because I want to look at it, right? Because I know where District 3 sits, District 4, and District 12 sits. I know they keep making mistakes because of Metropolitan and Northside Drive, same street. And so I'm wondering, how do I get what District 8 has and District 6 has? Because I know I'm calling you all every day, so I want the other stuff. How do I get that?
So, Councilmember, thank you for those comments first. I absolutely agree with you related to equity and making sure we innovate in District 12. I think you'll be very happy with the status of our next quarterly report, because currently we have 3 contracts that are all focused on your district, District 1, that focus directly on pedestrian access, sidewalks, and I'll follow up with you on the status of those. We anticipate to encumber much of that or have that all in construction between now and December. So I'll follow up with you.
Okay, and what we would like is paint on the ground. I'm super happy, more happy about this school safety award than probably anybody else, because I know what we've done for school safety and safe routes to school in our district. We allocated over $125,000, which was $100,000 more than any other count. So I'm super happy that we're able to get this award. And so we're investing, and we just need the same kind of innovation given to us. So that means my school safety, my safe routes to school program, they don't have any paint on the ground. I want green paint. And when I ride around the city, I'm looking at safe routes to schools in front of everybody else, and it's pretty. I mean, we got the barricades coming up. I'm happy about that, but we want the other stuff that comes with it. And so when we talk about striping, Hutchins Road does not have any stripes. My kids are crossing the street from on Jonesboro Road and Hutchins. They're trying to go to School Drive to get to Humphreys Elementary School or South Atlanta High School, same street. No crossing lines on that street, 0. And so I know so I need some help with that. Lastly, to move forward, the Empire Boulevard, Murphy Ave, Sylvan Road, Safe Streets. I know that's a Safe Routes to School project. Where are we on the Sylvan Road, Murphy Ave portion of it?
I just had an update. If I'm not mistaken, we are going into implementation over the next couple months. So next month? Yep, that's right. Next month, we're going and we'll give you that schedule and timeline.
Okay, I appreciate that. And lastly, the goal of District 12 is to look like everybody else. I think we've been loud and everybody's so happy in our area because we finally seeing shovels in the ground. I think they were loud last week when they said that. I will double down and be stronger the next 4 years because that last year after Councilmember Faroki and I had that conversation, the change has been abrupt. And I will double down and move how I moved last year to make sure we get this stuff done over the next 4 years. My goal is to I want to look like 6 and 8. Very specific. Thank you. And I need the structure of 2. 2 has the CIDs. We haven't been able to develop the CIDs, so we work with different public partnerships. So the public partnership we use right now is MARTA. I look forward to working with more organizations like MARTA for public partnerships where they get stuff done. For example, 2 was able to give their funding to a CID to get some stuff done. We were able to give it to MARTA to get stuff done. I think that if you look at this program, that's the stuff that we're actually getting done. So I look forward to us growing. Once again, I want what 6 and 8 has on this list. Thank you.
Receive.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councilman Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and hello, Mr. Commissioner. Good to see you again. We were, if everyone wants to know, we were at the Juniper Complete Street media event this morning. It has reached substantial completion, so very excited about that. Thank you for all that your team is doing along with the CID. And thank you, Councilmember Lewis, for advocating for my district and all of ours. It was actually a question that I had. So I have 7 items to discuss with you today. First one is around committing funds into D2. If we're looking at the map, D2 is the lowest percentage, 1.5% committed and 0.4 completed. 3 started, 3 in planning, and 6 in engineering. And interested to know what are the next steps to get those funds committed?
So we have currently been reaching out to all council members for discretionary funds and committing of your program funds. That process has started in the last 6 months, but in terms of accelerating delivery of those, we are avoiding the linear process of scoping, design, procurement, delivery, and trying to get from our scoping where possible straight to construction. So we can sit down and run through the forecast over the next 3 months in terms of how that number will jump and what we're expecting.
Okay, that would be really great. And I think a project that I see in the planning phase, Glen Iris works with the Safe Routes to School. I'm currently encumbering $38,000 of discretionary dollars to Hope Hill. And so that would amplify that project. The second thing is about the crash history surface streets from 2024 to 2025. Saw a reduction of 3, 2 of ATLDOT and 1 of GDOT. How can we be reassured that we will get to that Vision Zero goal of 0 fatalities by 2040?
So we're meeting with the Fatal Crash Commission and evaluating each and every fatal crash for, I guess, the scan or evaluation of what Vision Zero strategies are most appropriate, but we're not waiting on fatalities to pursue that program or process. So We have about 25% of those strategies already being pursued. We are investing our capital dollars towards those safety strategies, and the data is tracking in the right direction. And we want to accelerate anything that's working within the city, but it also includes education, enforcement, and engineering. So the Vision Zero program has been quite successful, but there's still work to do.
All right, thank you. Would be helpful to get any numbers around the trends in tracking outside of what we've already been seeing. Okay, Rebecca from PolyTL are here in the room. And this question is about the bond project, the $120 million amendment that was passed for it has primarily been resurfacing. And my council member Dozier and this transportation committee back in 2022 passed legislation around getting safe streets on resurfacing projects. And it doesn't seem like we're getting that with this $120 million bonds. Interested in knowing more about that.
So there are designs that we're layering on top of the resurfacing. Much of our permanent restriping isn't scheduled until the spring. However, that's not an excuse for safety. So we're designing now any improvements that we can include in terms of the signage, signalization, corridors that had configurations that address the safety challenges, and that will all be baked into the program. But right now, we're kind of in our resurfacing phase, but many improvements to come.
All right, thank you. Next item, second to last item. Sadly, the death of Mr. Sood was killed at the fated crosswalk at 225 Peachtree Street. There was a resolution passed earlier this year, 25R3213, to request a sidewalk to be repainted or reconstructed by June 20th of 2025. As that date since passed, what is the status of that crosswalk?
Yeah. So it was, if I'm not mistaken, focused on placing a crosswalk, a mid-block crossing there, and considering the public safety response needs in the center of downtown, and also the Moving Atlanta Forward improvements and designs that we're coordinating with ADID and CAP. We have a proposed design at grade that we're looking forward to sharing with this body and the public, and we look forward to implementing something in the very near future. So I can keep everyone updated on that.
That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
All right, and lastly, I requested over email about the no right turn on red signage as part of Vision Zero. Deputy this morning, Betty said the reasoning that the status completion of that project is not where it should be is because there's not enough bidders. Can you share more about the next steps that your department will do to help with the Vision Zero goal?
Yeah, there was a challenge with the actual pricing that came back to address it. We want to contract that work out, and we had very high pricing. So we have to work with procurement to get reasonable pricing, but we're looking to augment the contractor's work with internal work from our current internal resources. But that means we have to go back out and talk to the contractors about a more reasonable cost, and that unfortunately is delayed installation.
Right. We look forward to seeing those enhancements. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next speaker, Councilman Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Firstly, I just want to say that Councilman Wyckoff asked several of my questions, so I appreciate you. I will come back to one of the questions that was addressed by you, Commissioner, around the Peachtree Street crossing. I know you said you would share those designs with this body, with members of this committee. I think kind of where the heartburn is right now is those designs should probably be shared publicly. I know there's been a lot of concern and interest and potential excitement about what is coming concerning what was originally maybe ideated as part of the original resolution that asked for a crosswalk to be reinstalled there. I know the department has been working to make it even safer than maybe what was envisioned. However, that excitement is kind of deferred because no one has seen what has actually been designed. And so my ask of you and the department is, can we please not only just get that made public, but maybe even doing a public meeting or a community meeting to talk about what's coming and maybe even some opportunities to provide additional feedback about safety improvement opportunities for Peachtree Street, not just with World Cup in mind, but as was alluded to with the $120 million R bond funding. The idea is to make our city streets safer beyond just tourists and conventioneers, but in a question, but if you want to respond to that, I'm happy to give you a chance to do so.
No, received, Councilmember.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next question that I had is, more broadly, we had a work session this summer around the curbside management, parking enforcement RFP. Where are we on that RFP going out with some of the requests that us as council members had in terms of making sure that we can have some enforcement around folks parking in bike lanes, folks parking on sidewalks, and that sort of thing that currently is not being adequately enforced under our current contract.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that back to the committee. It sounds like we owe you a communication as we've met with APD regarding some of the concerns about sworn officers and their resources to help us and support us. We are also going out with the RFP in the very near future. We were pursuing a fee study, and we're working with legal to understand our limitations, thresholds, and the RFP to get out with procurement. Things have gone very well in terms of the process. The evaluation of technologies, what other cities are doing, is something that we'd like to pursue here. We've also had conversations with our partners at the state, thinking about enforcement and statutory changes that will potentially be needed to address some of the things that limit enforcement now. But communication is well-deserved and probably needed.
That would be greatly appreciated. Just on some more district-specific questions. Last week, I had the opportunity to bike to city council meeting in a suit for the first time in a little bit. My truck was broken down, and I was like, hey, I have a bike. Let me go ahead and get on the road. And biking down Whitehall Street reminded me that we have a couple of projects that are in the queue, and I haven't necessarily seen movement on them. One is Whitehall was included as part of the quick build project list under the previous administration that never got implemented. Separately, Whitehall has funding set aside through Moving Atlanta Forward that hasn't quite yet been implemented. And thirdly, as part of the $120 million R bond that we adopted last year, Whitehall is supposed to get some safe streets improvements and be included in a queue for at the very least resurfacing ahead of the World Cup activities next year. And, having cars dart around me at 60, 70 miles an hour isn't the best feeling in the world. Just curious where we are on the upgrades to Whitehall Street.
So Whitehall resurfacing is slated for early spring. However, designs related to commencement of work we'll share with you prior to the resurfacing and the implementation, and we'll get you an update on what the thoughts around those improvements as it relates to Moving Atlanta Forward designs that were put together.
Well, on that note, will those designs include protected bike infrastructure, considering it's been a part of 3 different iterations of safe streets improvements that we've adopted as a body?
Yeah, that's the expectation.
Okay. And then we had a quick conversation at the Ted Turner ribbon cutting for the viaduct repair and replacement, and talking to some folks who are utilizing that viaduct to access Mercedes-Benz Stadium, State Farm Arena, coming off of MLK from the protected cycle track that's on MLK. There's some confusion about the temporary, I don't want to call it striping, but the markings that are on the sidewalks to direct cyclists onto the viaduct and beyond. I know we talked about that being a temporary solution. Do we have any updates on when we'll get more permanent sort of wayfinding, protection, and connection to some of the stuff that's happening over by Centennial Yards?
Yeah, those improvements are tied to the viaduct improvements, MLK and COP, which we're procuring, currently procuring with DOP. Those designs are associated with that, and we don't want to implement without the full access across to the stadium, just considering the potential liability associated with not having, dumping them at Ted Turner. However, I'm sure there are improvements that could be made to eliminate some of the confusion, at least over to Ted Turner. So I'll follow up with you.
Is the timeline in alignment with all the work we're doing ahead of World Cup? So we'll see spring next year when that will be complete, sort of thing?
Yes, we want to get that done ASAP. If you've ever driven over MLK Viaduct, it's needed.
With the inclement weather that we've been having, I recognize it's going to be warm and sunny this weekend, but temperatures are going to dip. Is that going to impact our ability to get some of these projects completed in the next few months, or are you going to have to wait until pavement season starts again in March?
So relative to some of the paving, yes. However, there's so much more work, Vision Zero safety, concrete work, and signage, et cetera, that we want to take advantage of these months to do. Resurfacing is just one element of it, but we want to, and that's part of some of our planning around what we do and when we do it.
Okay. And then I have a couple of Moving Atlanta Forward related questions. One, Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard. Where are we with the redesign and resurfacing on RDA, specifically Mechanicsville? But I know it goes as far, I believe it goes as far east as towards Grant Park, but where are we on that?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to procuring that as soon as possible. Okay. I'll get back to you in terms of the design, because you probably should see what we came up with, our final design, but I'd like to get that procured ASAP.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I would love to see that.
Yes.
It runs through the heart of my community. On that note, two streets that are part of Moving Atlanta Forward that were federalized prior in Central. I know we have paper that's been held before this committee for a couple months now. I think it's 25R 3849. What's the timeline on Central Prior Safe Streets for All work that is slated to be hopefully moving forward in the near future?
What you'll see next next meeting is getting that off held. We're having a conversation with our designers because we're in the design phase about business. And once we get through that, but we anticipate getting that off held this season before break. And I think we can expedite some of that work, especially given the details of the corridor and the expectations. Working with you also and Councilmember Lewis.
Because if it doesn't come off, you have to reintroduce it. Okay. And then Atlanta Forward related, but it is a project that I know y'all have been working in collaboration with GDOT also for some time. Langhorne Street in West End. It's a city street, but it's a off-system, I forgot the terminology, but GDOT's supposed to be doing redesign, safety work, narrowing, potential roundabout. It's been kind of a black hole since I saw the original project number assigned to it back in 2022. Is there any updates, or could someone from the department provide updates kind of where things sit with that?
Yeah,
and if there's any updated designs for that as well.
I'll follow up with GDOT on the status because the PI has been designated, as well as the circle, the I-20 circle, which they actually have started moving for those improvements over at Westlake. We should be with GDOT on Friday, and we may be able to have an in-person conversation.
Okay.
But I'll reach out to them before.
And then my last question is related to that I hope you will be able to bring up at that meeting with GDOT. But Peter Street, which is SR, I don't try to memorize the SR numbers, but Peter Street in Castleberry Hill is currently being resurfaced. The bike infrastructure is being realigned. We've had a lot of issues from neighbors in Castleberry Hill, not so much about the resurfacing itself, but there's been, for the new signal improvements that have been happening, the signals and the junction boxes have been installed in ways that limit pedestrian access or ADA access on the sidewalks, or block sight lines at intersections, or block views from people's windows. And it's that GDOT has not been as responsive to those concerns as I would personally like to see. And so if you can re-engage with them on Friday and ask them to, I don't know if it means if we can hold another community meeting. I know we I thought it was a great meeting that we did last year, or was it this year, with myself, Councilmember, views from people's windows. And it's that GDOT has not been as responsive to those concerns as I would personally like to see. And so if you can re-engage with them on Friday and ask them to, I don't know if it means if we can hold another community meeting. I know we I thought it was a great meeting that we did last year, or was it this year, with myself, Councilman GDOT, to talk about the changes that are currently being implemented now. But right now, community members in Castleberry Hill are hurting because the communication has not been as great as we would like. With the resurfacing, for instance, the surfacing works was happening, and folks weren't notified until that night that there was resurfacing happening in that moment. And my understanding is that some cars got towed as part of that. And so the communication has been suboptimal. And I recognize that's GDOT, that's not the City of Atlanta, but any support that y'all can help us provide in terms of relief for the community would be greatly appreciated. On a similar note, and I shared this with Commissioner McMurray when we had the GDOT Transportation Rodeo here at Old City Council Chambers a couple months ago, the work that is being done as part of the Peter Street redesign does not connect west of Walker Street towards McDaniel Street. And I share that, and I share the same concern that I shared with the commissioner then, is that intersection at Walker and Peters is a terrible intersection if you're not in it's terrible if you are in a car. And I remind folks, that's where, unfortunately, I was hit with my daughter on our bicycle on a state route right at that intersection. And my hope was that as part of this project that's currently being done, that we could make some necessary changes to improve safety and make a more intentional connection all the way west of McDaniel Street, which is another state project that's being done. So we're talking maybe 100 feet, 200 feet. And I would just love to see, as we have a contractor out there right now doing this work, that we can get something done to make that the rest of that connection and the rest of that corridor safer for motorists, for cyclists, and for pedestrians. So that's more of a comment than a question. I wanted to leave you with that, especially as y'all are meeting this Friday.
That's great. That's great. All right. I'll commit myself to that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chair, I yield.
Thank you, Councilmember Juan.
All right, I'm going to be quick because I know the hour is getting late, and a lot of my colleagues have asked questions. First off, I just want to, for all of the District 6 listeners out there, and I wish Councilmember Lewis was in here, please do not think that we are 22% of our projects. If it weren't for the Cheshire Bridge emergency repair spike, our numbers show at $9 million, 8.5 of that, or 8.6 of that is for the bridge. So we are really down at 1.5%. And so if you want to look like District 6, I wouldn't wish that tragedy on anybody to get your deployment dollar up. I asked for this last time during last quarter. There is a notable lack of financial information in here, particularly your operational data, your staffing data. And the reason why I want to see that is because of the SLAs. We're focusing a lot of attention on the capital deployment, but I want to know what your operational levels are, because at the end of the day, Councilmember Hillis is right. There is the bread and butter that we need to be doing, and then there's these special projects. And I just don't feel like I've got a lens into that, except for the SLA. So I would ask if y'all want to get that to me or if we start including them in there, but I do think it's important that we continue to monitor that. I asked for that last time. I'm surprised not to see it here. The SLAs, I'm glad to see a lot of improvement. Have you had mentioned potentially wanting to recalibrate some of that? Has any of that happened, or are we still looking at the old measures?
Yeah, we're still looking at the old
Good.
measures.
Okay.
However, we have to recalibrate that with 311. So we just have to make sure that we certify that we're moving that.
Good. I just want to know that, I see the improvement. I just want to make sure we're looking at apples to apples and the data, and then I trust when you're looking at a new set of data. Third thing is around the capital projects. I do, again, want to underscore the financial information, the dollars deployed. The blocks that you show in terms of them moving from stage to stage are informative. But I think what is equally informative, particularly given the audit that just came out, are the dollars that actually are going towards the projects. Design even, shovels in the ground to completion. But I do think that is just as equally critical for us to see and for the public to see as it is just where things are in the different stages. So I would ask during the next presentation that somehow or another y'all are able to capture that. There's another side to that too, and I've been harping on this, and I know we've got a meeting next Tuesday to talk about the discretionary money, but I still am keeping my eye on budget and whether we have enough money in Renew Atlanta, which is now 10 years old, as well as moving Atlanta forward to complete what we promised the public. And so having that information before us while you're talking about the progress, I think is really important, because I just don't want us to have to go through the recalibration that the last council and administration had to do. And then my final thing is Monroe, 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 Monroe. So we got to talk, all right?
Groundbreaking.
Mr. Chair, I yield. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilmember Hillis.
Just two quick additional questions. You did speak about the Howell Mill project, which we're a few years into now. And I would get in trouble if I didn't ask this, given I'm a member of the Upper West Side CID. 2.5 more years for that project? What gives? What is going on? I know there's a lot of utility relocations that have to be done, et cetera, but 2.5 years when I think we've already been at least that much into the project seems like a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Councilmember. We will be scheduling time with you and Upper West Side to share the latest update. We are value engineering the project to ensure that I don't have 2 more years of Howell Mill in me. I'll just tell you that. There's with the designer and contractor in terms of the scope, and I think you'll be very happy with the direction we're going. So I hope that meeting would be on our calendars before today, but I'll get that meeting scheduled ASAP.
Yeah, before I go to my next question, I'll just say, like, a lot of this stuff from us could really be avoided, especially these district-specific questions, if we could have, regular meetings with you, or at least, one of your deputies to talk about, projects and just maintenance concerns in our district. So that's something I hope that we can see moving forward.
Yeah, thank you for that. Obviously, the last couple months have been busy for you and us. I will take this opportunity to introduce our new programs. Mr. Wesley Parkman, I don't know if Wesley can stand. Wes has over 25 years of experience in the industry. He's worked at the airport, worked in water resources, and he's joined us just recently, a couple months ago. And he will be taking lead and taking some of the pressure off of those who've been holding it down. And I want to say thank you all for holding it down. But we have Wesley now. Wesley's quite familiar with our program, as he's with our program for some time, and is a Morehouse and Georgia Tech man. So he has a lot to offer by way of communication.
Thank you. Last item is, I know the magic phrase or the magic 4 letters over the past couple of years to solve a lot of these issues was IDIQ. And I think there's a small and a large, and you can correct me in your answer if I'm wrong. I think they're both procured. I think we have the small, but we've done the large, but there hasn't really been any projects let to that. What is the status of both of the IDIQs? And if what I said is the case, why hasn't the large IDIQ been being utilized so far?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and what I'll do is give you kind of, it's understandable. So IDIQ is a contracting mechanism for indefinite, and we pursued IDIQ just about a year ago. And as part of that, we've seen about 31 task orders that have gone out, which have enabled us to do some of the paving that you've seen and also get money out the door. So I'll just give you a stat related to how it's helped. Back in April of 25, we had about $39 million encumbered as part of our Move Atlanta Forward program. By next month, the end of next month, we're looking at $92 million worth of encumbrances for projects. So I spoke to, remember some of the sidewalk work that's coming. Many of our projects have been able to go from our straight into construction because of that tool and instrument to get work moving. So it's changed the way we've done business, and it's actually not reflected in your packet here because that represents Q3. But in Q4, we've seen an acceleration of the work. And what we've been saying, you know, the planning and scoping process is the longer of the phases that we have to go through so that we can get to construction for delivery to actually make payments and encumber the work. So we are entering that phase of encumbrance, and you're going to see acceleration of spending to Councilmember Wan's request. As again, we were at 39 million back in April, and by the end of this year, we're looking at almost tripling that number in terms of getting work out the door, and that's just for moving Atlanta forward.
But there are two separate ones, and you're speaking to both?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Got a couple of hopefully easy, quick ones for you. Already asked about Marietta Street Bridge. Thank you, Councilmember Hillis, for that. The Bankhead Bridge, update on that?
Yeah, the railroad had concerns about how it's taken down. So we said, Railroad, please share with us how you'd like to pursue getting that down. And we're in conversation. We hoped Labor Day that the bridge would be down. But we've been working with their legal counsel to identify a date, and it all had, the railroad had concerns about how it's taken down. So we said, Railroad, please share with us how you'd like to pursue getting that down. And we're in conversation. We hoped Labor Day that the bridge would be down, but we've been working with their legal counsel to identify a date, and it trains because it's the major access point for the railroad. So we're hoping by the end of this year, because I think Christmas or Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve is the only time period where we get 12 hours to pick and drop. So we'll bring an update to you.
Thank you. Joseph B. Lowry looking good. Will it be paved past Boone to Hollowell?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Also, it looked like we're doing a better job with coordinating between our utility companies and others as we pave these roads they are covered. So thank you for that. As we pave Boone and Lowry, if you're traveling east on Boone, making a right-hand turn onto Lowry, we have put that that stop stripe that you use where cars stop. Fire Station 16, our fire department have asked for that to be moved on the east, making that right-hand turn. They can't make it. So if we can stop traffic before then so they can navigate that corner, that would definitely be helpful. I'm definitely in line with Councilmember Hillis on these contractors who's tearing up our sidewalks, leaving asphalt patches in the middle of concrete. all through Howe Station. They're complaining about it. I am very happy to help you pull some bonds so we can get this work done ourselves if they continuously refusing to do it, create some type of citation or something, because for this to keep happening, can I get a meeting on the 10th Street Bridge module development as we go? And that is it.
Yep. Thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Takes us to our consent agenda. First read, please proceed.
Item number 1, 25-01650, an ordinance by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor as designee on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation to execute the Fourth Amendment to 2021 Elmeg Street Resurfacing Project Group 2 South with amend the terms of the contract for an additional 120 days, establishing a new completion date of March 24, 2026 to add the Atlanta Urban Development Agency funding account string to authorize use of funds in amount not to exceed $2,457,295.94 to meet the local match requirement, to waive Chapter 2, Article 10, Division 4, Section 2-1187 of the Procurement of Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Municipal Code of Ordinances. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes. This takes us to our regular agenda, Section H, ordinance for second reading. Item number 2, 25-01602, an ordinance by Transportation Committee on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation to amend ordinance 22-01794 adopted by the Atlanta City Council on November 7th, 2022, and approved per city charter section 2-403 on November 16th, 2022 by adding additional funding sources, all other parts of the legislation to remain unchanged and for other purposes.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 3, 25-12, Mayor Howard Shook authorizing Chief Financial Officer to amend the general fund budget to vertical and a trust fund and to authorize transfer of Renew Atlanta discretionary vertical and horizontal funds allocated to Atlanta City Council District 7 into the respective trust funds created herein such that they shall be reserved for use for their intended purpose as discretionary dollars available to the District 7 representative in accordance with the Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Initiative and for other purposes.
Second. So let's carry this motion. Motion has been made and
We're deferring to the department to discuss the nature of the substitute.
okay.
So we have the substitute drafted, but there are some account strings that need to be updated in it before it can be brought forward to you. The caption for the substitute, if I may read that to you, and then explain the intent to include, it would be officer to place a hold on the Atlanta City Council District 7 Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Bond discretionary funds pursuant to which they shall be encumbered such that they shall be reserved for use by their intended purpose as discretionary dollars available to the District 7 representative in accordance with Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Initiative, providing that the hold placed on the District 7 Renew Atlanta Infrastructure Bond discretionary funds may only be removed pursuant to appropriate legislative action by the Atlanta City Council and for other purposes. The intent is to put a hold on the funds that the current council member for District 7 has not yet allocated to projects. Those would then be at the discretion of the future council member to release through legislation and with the CFO. And the account strings would be specific to the council district discretionary funds that are specifically not yet allocated to projects.
So I don't know, we do not want to, or you do want us to?
I don't know if you want to use the substitute that I can send you, or if we want to. I think the recommendation would be that we could substitute at FEC today.
Need to be FEC. It's
If
before
I
us.
could, I did speak to Councilmember Shook, and he did say that he would favor us sending it to
Yeah.
FEC.
Okay.
With no,
Us too.
I don't know if you want to use the substitute that I can send you, or if we want to. I think the recommendation would be that we could substitute at FEC today.
Need to be FEC. It's
if
before
I
us.
could, I did speak to Councilmember Shook, and he did say that he would favor us sending it to
Yeah.
FEC.
Okay.
With no recommendation, allow the substitute to be held then. So.
Okay. Well, so I will still keep my motion to bring forward the substitute before us, that we can refer it.
Right. Okay. So motion has been made and second. Any more discussion?
Well, I do have don't stay up there, I do have a question. You get seconded it.
The vote is open. The vote is open.
It's reopened, y'all. It got reopened. It got reopened.
Stop. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you.
Councilmember Juan.
So my question, though, I realize that Councilmember Shook is doing this because there will be a transition in representation. However, is this something that the rest of us that also have discretionary funds should think about? Was this just driven by that, or is there an expiration under consideration as well?
My understanding is that there is no legal expiration of the bond funds, and that this was strictly for the councilor to ensure that the funds be protected for the new council member coming on, since he wouldn't be here to assign those funds.
Okay, I'll move to refer this to Finance Exec.
Discussion, Ben. Councilmember Lewis.
Along the same lines as Councilmember Juan's request, you say he's doing it because he's leaving. Is there also a way that with any funds that we may have that's unallocated, could the administration or could the Department of Transportation at the end of this year move them?
I'm not aware of that being possible. Our internal policy for ATL-DOT is we don't touch any of the funds unless we have written approval from the council member to where to assign it. And I'm not aware of any other process or procedure other than that.
But if the administration or if someone else wanted to move some of our funding, is there like a end of the year portion for that?
Nothing that I'm aware of, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
There's a motion that's been made and second. Please open the vote.
Mr. Chair, you repeat the intent of the motion?
Motion, Juan made the motion to defer to FEC.
Mr. Chair, this is a due referral, so it will already be referred to FEC. So the motion will be to approve on substitute.
Approve for no recommendation is and this has been seconded by Councilmember Dozier.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is forwarded with no recommendation on substitute. Item number 4, 25-01613. An ordinance by Councilman Carding Wyckoff authorizing the donation in an amount not to exceed $38,551.83 to the Hope Hill Elementary Foundation to help support the Hope Hill Elementary School Safety Transportation Improvement Project pursuant to Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter, authorizing Chief Financial Officer to make the payment from the account number listed herein and for other purposes. Mr. Chair, this item will need to be substituted. The substitute incorporates the account information.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyckoff.
Just want to say, I think Miss Bridget should receive Mom of the Year award for advocating for this for over 4 years. And when I came into office mid-September, she was the first one in my inbox. We rolled down the safe routes to school very early in the morning at 6:45 a.m. And it was, this was an easy decision to dedicate $38,000 to Hope Hill Elementary School. Also, Ishay Collins will also be encumbering additional funds for this, for additional maintenance. Very excited for this, so thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Make a motion to bring forth a substitute.
Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you.
Motion to approve on substitute.
Motion has been made and second for approval. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable on substitute. Item number 5, 25-01615. An ordinance by council members Alex Juan, Antonio Lewis, Jason Dozier, Andrea L. Boone, Cardine Wykoff, Byron D. Amos, Dustin Hillis, Howard Shook, Marcy Collier Oversee, Mary Norwood, Jason H. Winston, and Ishay Collins to amend Section 6 of Ordinance 22-0-1369 adopted on May 16, 2022, and approved on May 23, 2022, to extend the deadline for it to approve a binding plan encumbering the Move in Atlanta for discretionary bond funds allocated to each council district for a term of, for 1 year from December 31st, 2025 to December 31st, 2026, and for other purposes.
Approval.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 625-01617, an ordinance by council members Marcy Collier Overstreet and Ishay Collins authorizing the mayor as designee on behalf of the city of Atlanta and to enter into lease agreements with various airlines and airline support companies for cargo warehouse and office support facilities located at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, waiving the lease of city-owned real property requirements contained in Section 2-1547, Article 10 Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, as well as any other conflicting code provisions and for other purposes.
Move approval. Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item 619, an ordinance by council members Marcy Collier Overstreet and Ishay Collins to amend ordinance 25-0-1369 to modify the additional funding sought from $9,118,656.63 to $969,795.0 and for other purposes.
Motion to approve. We have one question.
I just want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. The original legislation, we had authorized $9 million, and what was wrong, it really should be $900,000. Is that correct? Am I reading this correct? And then what happened? That's a tenfold mistake or correction.
Transportation.
Hello, my name is Candace Brown, of Public Safety and Security for the airport. There was this mistake in the math that was completed. The Public Safety and Security change to the contract is the camera system that we have been implementing and upgrading. We'll need to move them over into our other contracts so that we can maintain and support them with licensing. And then there were some cameras that were placed and done before my tenure that were on an old system, and so we're migrating them off that system and into the current contract so that we can support them and maintain them on the de-icing pads.
I'll move approval.
But still in, we got another question.
Councilmember Juan, I truly appreciate you for your noticing of that. I know you're always watching the money. And it opened up my eyes to some of the stuff that I see right here. And my question to you, you said before your tenure, how long has that been, if you don't mind me asking?
I've been with the airport for 2 years.
So how
So
did it
these
make
were
it?
not in the contract prior, and they were not maintained, so they were at the end of life, and there was no maintenance on them. So we had to bring them over into our contract so we could support them and bring them up to standards.
So how did it get to us with that number that wrong? That's a huge mistake. So how did it get to us? I'm just watching that.
So I apologize on the behalf of my group that we didn't do the math accurately and correctly.
Okay, and the reason why I say that is because I know a lot of people laid their eyes on it.
Yes.
And
right.
before it got to council, and we have a couple of papers today, I think, that are coming out the airport the same way a lot of people laid their eyes on it, still got to us. I don't know how it got to us, but thank you again.
I take
Second,
accountability for that. Thank you.
and I second that motion.
Thank you.
I got questions, but I
my
go
fault,
ahead.
I
No, it's too many. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open.
With you, how did it get here?
Once I saw this table, I get one.
The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number A, 25-01620, An ordinance by Councilmembers Marcy Collier Overstreet and Ishay Collins authorizing the City of Atlanta to waive the competitive procurement source selection provisions contained in Section 2-1187 of Article 10 Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, as well as any other conflicting code provisions on behalf of the Department of Aviation to ratify services rendered in connection with agreement number listed herein, ATO history of the Atlanta Airport with Gary Lee Super Design Associates beginning December 1st, 2025, and to execute Amendment Number 3 to extend the term of the agreement on a month-to-month basis for a term up to 10 months, effective December 1st, 2025 through October 1st, 2026, and for other purposes.
Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 925-01632, an ordinance by Councilmembers Byron D. Amos and Ishay Collins authorizing the City of Atlanta to waive the competitive procurement source selection provisions contained in Section 2-1187 of Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, as well as any other conflicting code provisions. On behalf of the Department of Aviation, to complete the remaining work to agreement number listed herein, airfield repairs 2021 to 2023 with Matthews Kelly Joint Venture, an amount not to exceed $5,486,350.75. All services will be charged to and paid from the accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 1025-01633, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos authorizing the City of Atlanta to waive the competitive procurement source selection provisions contained in Section 2-1187 of Article 10 Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, as well as in behalf of the Department of Aviation to complete the remaining work to agreement number listed herein, Runway 10 Glide Slope and Runway Safety Area Improvements with Precision 2000 Incorporated, an amount not to exceed $500,000.00. All services will be charged to and paid from accounts listed herein and for other purposes.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 1125-01634, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos authorizing the City of Atlanta to waive the competitive procurement source selection provisions contained in Section 2-1187 of Article 10 Procurement and Real Estate Code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, as well as any other conflicting code provisions to include but not limited to Section 2-1292E to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute Amendment Number 1 to contract number listed herein with Allen Enterprise Incorporated and Aviation Lighting Sales Incorporated to update the contract name to Airport Specialized Lighting Systems and Repair Services to extend the term of the contract to an initial 5-year period retroactive to May 10, 2024 through March 27, 2029 with 2-year renewal options to expand the scope of the services to increase contract funding in amount not to exceed $500,000.00, resulting in a new not to exceed amount of $2,500,000.00 annually. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 6 yeas, 0 nays. The item is favorable. Item number 1225-01635, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos waiving the lease of city-owned real property requirements contained in Section 2-1547, Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, as well as any other conflicting code provisions authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to enter into a lease agreement with L3 Harris Technologies Incorporated for equipment support spaces located at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport and for other purposes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Is any discussion? Seeing none, open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is open. vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. This takes us to Section I, Resolutions, item number 1325R4122, an amended resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement listed herein, curbside management services with LAS CCD joint venture on behalf of the Department of Aviation for initial term of 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options, an amount not to exceed $930,000.00 for the management fee and an amount not to exceed $29,091,544.80 for the reimbursable operating budget. All services will be charged to and paid from the account number listed herein and for the purposes.
Motion to file.
Wow, that's bold.
There's a motion that's been made. Is there a second? I will second that motion. Motion has been made and second. Any more discussion on that motion? Seeing none, please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 2 yeas, 3 abstentions. This item is filed by committee.
Councilmember Lewis.
Today, when looking at the overwhelmingly people who signed up to speak at public comment, we heard things about this that I've never heard. When you listen to what the taxi drivers were saying, the rumors that they spoke of, when you look at the emails that we received from investigative reporters who are nationally known, the emails from George Chidi, the emails from people who are investigating things, and they're loud about this. And so I could not stand with this. So I thank you so much, and I just have questions. That's why I had to file this. Thank you again.
You know, finish anymore? So normally I don't explain my vote. I normally let my vote stand by itself. But let me tell you what we just did. First and foremost, we just put our airport in a very uncomfortable position because this contract will expire before we have another one to go into play. So now what we have to do as a body is to come back and entertain a paper that will waive the code, that will go month to month on the current provider, and that will also be retroactive because it will expire before we be able to get a paper in. So that is the position we just put our airport in. But you guys know me, it's not about the people, it's not about anyone that came up here and spoke today. I have always talked about the process. This process, we cannot continue to do this. And everyone talks about the change that is coming. Everyone talks about the change that has taken place, but the outcome is staying the same. How can we defend the process when in certain procurement procedures, we got people deemed responsive, and for the same place and time of the same scenario, we got people deemed unresponsive. The process stinks. And if the only way people can, we're not even gonna talk about the blackout period. Blackout period is administrative policy in which this legislative body do not have to follow. So for procurement to stand here and say we cannot answer questions is something that we're gonna have to deal with internally because it is not exactly true. So that's another thing. If your procurement policy says blackout period, if you have any questions, speak to the official person in procurement. You speak to them and they say they cannot talk to you with the blackout period, then what is the process? The process hurt the city of Atlanta today, period. Those that are in charge of this process, we must do better. I claim responsibility for it from my end, but there are other people we must simply do better. If that's it, get off my soapbox.
And the process, mainly, I know this. I remember last year when the comments I made about the process. I won't repeat them, but the process is the process. But when you have people who are affected, people who are being threatened the way they've been threatened, and George Chidi reached out to me to tell me some of the rumors before the taxi drivers came to me. He's a nationally known reporter and investigator, and so that's what I'm on. I'm on that. I can't stand with that. Thank you again.
Mr. Johnson, next item.
Item number 1425R4130, a resolution by council members Cardine Wyckoff, Liliana Batiari, Jason Dozier, Jason H. Winston, Alex Juan, and Ishay Collins, requesting that the Georgia General Assembly promote and explore the feasibility of increasing funding for transit systems through state fees and tourism-related revenue sources in order to improve regional connectivity, reduce traffic congestion, and expand access to economic opportunities for residents and visitors and for other purposes. Mr. Chair, this item would need to be amended. The amendment adds a be it finally resolved clause stating that upon adoption of the City of Atlanta Office of Municipal Clerk will transmit a copy of this resolution to members of the Georgia General Assembly.
Councilwoman Wyckoff.
As a transit-dependent rider, it's really important that we continue to advocate for additional transit funding at the state, and that's why we have this paper, and I appreciate my colleagues for supporting this. I'd like to make a motion to bring forth the amendment. Did I say that right? Okay.
Motion has been made and second to bring forth the amendment. At this time, can we include that he want to add his name, I guess.
If that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Please, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to bring forth the amendment and also include Councilmember Lewis's name on it.
Second.
So motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is amended.
Motion to approve as amended. Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. Item number 15, 25R4131, a resolution by council members Cardine Wyckoff, Liliana Batiari, Ishay Collins, and Jason H. Winston requesting that the Georgia General Assembly explore the possibility of establishing statewide free or reduced rate parking for vehicles displaying valid disabled person parking placards or license plates as defined under OCGA 40-2-74.1 and 40-6-226 in order to promote accessibility, equity, and economic participation for individuals with disabilities and for other purposes. Mr. Chair, this item will need to be amended. The amendment adds a be it finally resolved clause stating that upon adoption, the City of Atlanta Office of Municipal Clerk will transmit a copy of this resolution to the members of the Georgia General Assembly.
Councilmember Wyckoff.
Yeah, this piece of legislation is very similar to, or urging the General Assembly to mirror what other major states are doing, where they exempt disability metered parking. At the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta have neither. And so other cities follow suit because of state legislation. And so that's why we're going to the state to request this and then have it trickle down into the city. Thank you.
So motion to motion to amend.
Yes, motion to amend.
Second.
Oh, second, or sorry.
Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item has been amended.
Motion to approve as amended. Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable as amended. Mr. Chair, item number 16 requires a substitute. The substitute changes the caption. May we have a motion to bring forth a substitute?
Motion to bring forward a substitute. Is there a second? Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you. Item number 16, 25R4132, a resolution by council members Cardine Wyckoff, Alex Wan, Dustin Hillis, Liliana Batiari, and Jason H. Winston, as substituted by Transportation Committee, requesting the Atlanta Department of Transportation to conduct a study to analyze the cost of administering and enforcing the City of Atlanta's right-of-way closure permit fees, including sidewalk and lane closure fees authorized under Section 138-75 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances to ensure that such fees are equitable, reasonable, and commensurate with the cause of regulation and for other purposes.
Motion to approve. Got to
I have a
speak.
comment.
Councilman Wyckoff.
Yeah, the reason we're bringing this forward, there's a couple of reasons why, and also in coordination with Sally Phlox, the former chair of PEDS, the pedestrian organization. The daily closure rate for sidewalk closures is extremely low and is often not enforced. And it creates a significant barrier for individuals like myself who are sidewalk, transit dependent riders. And so we're asking the city to explore the feasibility of increasing those daily closure fees and also ensuring that there's adequate enforcement in collecting the money. Thank you.
Councilmember Hillis.
Thank you, Councilmember Wyckoff, for bringing this forward, and I was happy to sign on to it. It's something that's been spoken about not only by council members, but by ATO DOT and the Department of Finance. But I'm going to vote to approve it today, but if we could just get with law and the department to make sure that the study is going to cover enforcement fines, as well as what I was speaking to with the commissioner about in regards to a structure of when you lose your permit after a certain number of violations, to ensure that the study includes those items. Thank you.
That being said, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on substitute. Item number 1725R4140, a resolution by council members Byron D. Amos and Ishay Collins authorizing donation amount to be determined from the District 3 Moving Atlanta Forward vertical discretionary account to fund the installation of signages, including reduced speed limit, no large trucks permitted, and no parking of commercial vehicles or trailers on Holly Street Northwest between Joseph E. Boone Boulevard Northwest and Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway Northwest, and for other purposes. The sponsor requested this item be held.
I do have one question, and ADOT can do it from the head of a gesture. You think we can move this forward in the next cycle? Okay. Motion to hold. Second. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The item is held in committee. Item number 1825R4207, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a supplemental lease agreement to the existing land lease agreement between the City of Atlanta and the United States of America for the TSA K-9 pad located at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport to incorporate revised rental rates effective July 1st, 2025, based on a fair market value appraisal and for other purposes.
Motion to approve. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Mr. Chair, if there is no objection from the body, can we take items number 19 through 23 together as a block? These are all IGA lighting agreements with GDOT.
Seeing none, please proceed.
Item number 1925R4208, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an intergovernmental lighting agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the purpose of assuming full responsibility and cost for compliance with the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act and the operation, repair, and maintenance of lighting system, including but not limited to damages, replacements of lamps, ballast, luminary structures, associated equipment, conduits, wiring, service equipment of the lighting system installed by the Georgia Department of Transportation as part of the State Route 3 from Rose Street to Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Southwest project as shown in Exhibit A and for the purposes. Item number 2025R4209, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an intergovernmental lighting agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the purpose of assuming full responsibility and cost for compliance with the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act and the operation, repair, and maintenance of the lighting system, including but not limited to damages, replacement of lamps, ballasts, luminaries, structures, associated equipment, conduits, wiring, service equipment of the lighting system installed by the Georgia Department of Transportation as part of the State Route 3 at Ralph David Abernathy and Glen Street Southwest Roundabout project as shown in Exhibit A and for the purposes. Item number 2125R4210, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an intergovernmental lighting agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the purpose of assuming full responsibility and costs for compliance with the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act and the operation, repair, and maintenance of the lighting system, including but not limited to damages, replacements of lamps, ballasts, luminary structures, associated equipment, conduits, wiring, service equipment of the lighting system installed by the Georgia Department of Transportation as part of the State Route 141 connector from City Street, 7005 Phipps Boulevard to State Route 237 Phase 3 project as shown in Exhibit A and for the purposes. Item number 2225R4211, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an intergovernmental lighting agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the purpose of assuming full responsibility and costs for compliance with the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act and the operation, repair, and maintenance of the lighting system, including but not limited to damages, replacements of lamps, ballasts, luminary structures, associated equipment, conduits, wiring, service equipment of the lighting system installed by the Georgia Department of Transportation as part of the I-285 at I-20 West Side Interchange Reconstruction and Widening Project as shown in Exhibit A and for other purposes. Item number 2325R4212, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an intergovernmental lighting agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the purpose of assuming full responsibility and costs for compliance with the Georgia Utility Facility Protection Act and the operation, repair, and maintenance of the lighting system, including but not limited to damages, replacements of lamps, ballasts, luminaries, structures, associated equipment, conduits, wiring, service equipment of the lighting system installed by the Georgia Department of Transportation as part of the State Route 280 at City Street, 2645 Northwest Drive Roundabout project as shown in Exhibit A and for other purposes.
Motion to approve item 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Is there a second? Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. These items are favorable. Item number 2425R4213, a resolution by Transportation Committee authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to accept the dedication of Glen Street Southeast and Crumley Street Southeast between Hank Aaron Drive Southeast and Fraser Street Southeast for the purpose of providing enhanced responses from the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department and the Atlanta Police Department to maintain access for emergency services, improve mobility, and service delivery to ensure the long-term upkeep of the right-of-way, complete other needed repairs to the right-of-way and infrastructure and for other purposes.
Motion to approve. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Item number 2525R4214, a resolution by Transportation Committee on behalf of the Department of Aviation to amend resolution number 24R3923, landside electrical on-call at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on September 3rd, 2024, and approved by the mayor on September 10th, 2024, for the purpose of adding an additional funding source in amount not to exceed $1,260,000.00. All other parts of the legislation to remain unchanged and for other purposes.
Motion to approve. Motion has been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable. Mr. Chair, we have one item coming off held, item number 35 on page 15. It requires a substitute. The substitute changes the caption. May we have a motion to bring forth the substitute?
Motion to bring forward the substitute. Is there a second? Second. Motion been made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is brought before you. The substitute adds verbiage to authorize the right-of-ways appraised value in exchange for equivalent or great in-kind services, waive City Code Section 2-1578, 138-9C, and 138-9K2, and adds Exhibit B. Item number 3525-1529, an ordinance by Councilmember Antonio Lewis as substituted by Transportation Committee, authorizing the abandonment of a portion of St. John Circle Southwest consisting of approximately 0.261 acres and being more specifically described in attached Exhibit A, lying and being in land lot 90 of the 14th District of Fulton County, Georgia, authorizing the donation of the fair market value of the appraised roadway in exchange for certain in-kind services equivalent to or exceeding the appraised value of the roadway, authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a quitclaim deeds for such abandoned right-of-way and other documents necessary to effectuate the abandonment to Fulton County City of Atlanta Land Bank Authority doing business as Metro Atlanta Land Bank, conditioned upon the receipt of certain in-kind services, waiving sections 2-1578, 138-9C, and 138-9K2 of the Code of Ordinances and for other purposes.
There's a need to substitute this, right?
Mr. Chair, we already brought forth the substitute.
We brought forward, okay, motion, you making motion? Second, motion made and second. Please open the vote.
The vote is open. Will everyone, the vote is closed. 5 yeas, 0 nays. This item is favorable on substitute. Mr. Chair, that concludes our legislative items for today.
Thank you. Any last minute comments, concerns, questions? Stand adjourned. Thank you.